Hey, Paul, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. All right, everybody. So this is Paul Thompson. He is known as the Barefoot Podiatrist. He's joining us this morning in his time from Australia. So huge thank you for you taking this time to be here. I really, really appreciate it. For everybody tuning in, the whole point of this live here, I spent last week talking about um, kind of everything to do with the foot. So about mobility, stability, injury prevention, a bunch of key factors with respect to the feet. And so as we move forward into the ankle this week, I thought it would be really valuable to bring on another guru of sorts in the feet and feet, ankles. If you guys check out his page at the Barefoot Podiatrist, you're going to see that he does a slew of information about not only the feet, but how our whole body's working in unison. So what I wanted to do this week is just kind of bring him on here, let him kind of throw some information at us. And anybody who has questions, feel free to chime in. This is a real loose format. We don't have anything very strict going on here. So if you have questions or anything, feel free to jump in the chat and we will answer them as they come up. And otherwise, I'll just turn it over to Paul here for a little bit. Um, let him take it over. And then, again, any questions, I'm more than happy to chime in. Everybody's saying hi, dog.
Nice. So yeah, welcome. Yeah, it's my morning here in Australia. It's bright and early. So yeah, today we'll have a chat about the ankle, but we can't lose sight of the foot. The foot is still what helps stabilise the ankle and help give the ankle stability. So when I see a lot of ankle rehab take place, or here in Australia anyway, a lot of people really focus on the ankle specifically and tend to target and maybe overdo the ankle sometimes and lose sight of what's above and below the ankle. So, the glutes and the hips are really important for ankle prevention and rehab as well. But we'll focus more on ankle and foot today.
Cool.
So, do you want to kick it off? Get started? Just go.
Yes, kick it off. Get going. So Paul's going to talk about some stuff. If he shouts out some exercises, I may demonstrate them just to give you guys a visual perspective of what he's talking about. If it's not necessary, then I'll just let him ride.
Easy. So normally when I'm talking with clients about ankle, normally they come to me, it's with an ankle injury or pain. Prevention is way easier. So if you don't have ankle issues, it's really worth spending some time working on your ankles and trying to keep them as healthy and strong and mobile as you can.
I hope all my athletes heard that gold. Did all of you hear that gold? Work on your feet while you're healthy.
100%. It's easy. It's an easy thing to do. It doesn't take a lot of time. It complements your other training or exercise or performance. So I just don't understand why people don't do it once they kind of understand, how easy it is. If you're doing other training, it's kind of easy to just throw it in there. Totally. To know, you're bulletproofing your ankles and feet. Now, look, I guess the little clause is there's always going to be ankle injuries. Ankle sprains and things. There's always accidents that are going to happen, but we see way too many accidents that just shouldn't happen. Okay, so that's where we need to be strengthening these ankles. Now, just to give you a little quick sort of insight with the foot and ankle, if you think of, the ankle is just this flimsy little bit, right? So when you think of everything upstream, there's big, chunky muscles. We've got hundreds of muscles, tendons, ligaments in the foot. There's only, half a dozen that pass around the ankle. It's not a really firm structure as a structure. Right. So that's why it's really important. If we're not stable through the foot, then all we're relying on are these couple of muscles that cross the ankle to try and keep the ankle in place. But if you have the foot nice and a good strong foundation, and the foot's also helping keep this little bit on top aligned,
Right.
then you have a much better success rate of not rolling your ankle, of keeping your ankle in a better position, to just reduce those niggly pains. So it's really important that the foot helps control the ankle. And when you look at a lot of the ankle muscles, they actually cross into the foot.
Correct.
Okay, so they're not stopping at the ankle and just supporting the ankle. All of them cross down in and under the foot, and a lot of them come right up into the front of the foot. Okay, so it tells us that we need that foot to be stable to help finish that chain of where those muscles are running.
Sure, yeah, to strengthen from beginning to end, not just,
not just that little bit in the middle.
Correct.
You want that whole chain to be strong. Now, one other thing before we talk about exercises is shoes. So the other conversation I have with a lot of clients around any foot issue is shoes. Now, whatever you have to wear for your sport, for training, for fashion, so be it. It's only a short Insta Live, so I'm not going to be able to change your mind on shoes potentially, but just be mindful that when we're training the foot and ankle, we need to do it without shoes. So again, with rehab, I'm constantly seeing people rehab their ankles with shoes on.
Absolutely.
Now, we can't get that foot stable in a shoe. The other thing with a shoe, if you look at most joggers, this big, chunky right angle here, you've got two places to go, here or here. All right?
Right over the edge.
Hey, you're right on the edge, the tipping point, where the foot it's more rounded, and there's nerves that run all around there. So if your ankle starts to get into a funny position, it's constantly telling the brain how to correct that. In a shoe, you don't get the same feedback until it's too late. You're either flat in the shoe and comfortable and being supported like you're on the couch and it feels lovely, or you've tipped over and you're wondering why you're in so much pain. It happens that quick.
Right.
Okay, so again, with the exercises we're going to go through, we're going to start with some basics and just some mobility stuff, some strengthening. But the end goal for anyone comes down to timing. All right, so with clients, I use the analogy of a clock. All right, now the hands might be still going around, but it doesn't mean it's accurate. It doesn't mean it's telling you the exact time.
Okay,
it can be off. If that timing's wrong, the time's wrong. With your ankle and your foot, it's the exact same thing. If that time, so the muscles might be strong, you might have the right mobility, all seems well and good in testing, but then when you get out into sport or you start stressing that position, if that timing's off, then your ankle's not going to be as strong and stable as you thought it was.
Right.
Okay, you need to work on the timing of when those muscles contract and how quick those nerve endings are telling your brain to react. It's all about reaction time.
Got it.
Okay, so towards the end of this little session, I'll talk about a couple of different ways that I work on and simple things that aren't high end, they're just nice ones you can just start doing. To just start getting that brain firing that bit quicker in a controlled environment to start working on that timing.
Great.
Sound good?
Sounds great. Let's do it.
All right. Any questions?
I don't have any so far. I think the information's been so valuable. I think it's so important to, really reiterate that training barefoot so that you can kind of get all of those nerve endings that are going around that heel, around the base of the foot, and just really learn all of them. Like you said, you're just going to get to a tipping point in the shoe, and so what's the point of training that way?
Yeah, and you'll find when you're training barefoot, you'll get better muscle activation through the whole body as well. It won't just be, if you're squatting with shoes on, you might get some, glute or quad for a lot of people, activation. But when the shoes are off, if you're really thinking about that foot position, activating the feet, it's going to be a very different exercise and movement versus in shoes. Right. All right, so move that ball out of the way. Now, when it comes to ankle issues, with mobility, two of the main issues I see is dorsiflexion is restricted, and that's in lots of people. Big cause of that is we sit a lot, and shoes. A lot of shoes have a raised heel. Even that jogger I just showed you has a 1.5 centimeter heel built in. So that stops your
That's
ankle.
already shortening.
You're already shortening. So then when you need that extra range, it's not there. Because if you're not using it, you'll lose it. So again, another good reason to be training barefoot and trying to get as much range of motion as we can. The other thing with shoes, when we start lifting that ankle up, it's in a less stable position anyway. The ankle's in its most stable position when it's flat. It doesn't need to be as stable up here unless all the muscles are active. And if it's not active, like in a shoe, it's going to be less stable. Okay, so that tipping point is going to be much easier in a heeled shoe. So we need that dorsiflexion. If we don't have it when we're walking or running, we're going to compensate by having to go around the ankle. So quite often we'll see people twisting in and around. So then you start getting all, medial ankle pain, just grinding. A lot of the ligaments and tendons get overused and overworked and sore. Or we start twisting around off the outside, less common, but again, more outside issues. Sometimes when that comes in and around, it'll also jam and pinch on that outside edge of the ankle, which is also a painful experience. So we need to work on getting that ankle bending forward and back in a nice straight plane. Okay, now a nice simple way to do this is I'll use a band today, but you can use it without a band. I just find the band helps with a little bit of distraction through the ankle. Okay. Because what we also want is the ankle should glide. So it doesn't just pivot. As it comes forward, it glides backwards slightly and then forward. All right, so if we have a band pulling the ankle back in slightly as we're trying to go through that movement, you can start to just loosen things up and help initiate more of that glide that we need. When we're doing this, make sure, and I'll talk you through it, just hopefully you can hear me as well over there, try not to be dumping your ankle in too far. You can go through different planes, that's fine. But if you constantly just stick to the one plane that you've been walking in, all you're going to do is strengthen that dysfunction you've already got. So we're actually trying to get the ankle into a better position. Okay? So what I normally do with clients, I like to use a pole to start with. Okay? Just again, because most people I see are dumping that ankle inwards to compensate for that reduced range of motion. And if you're not sure if you have reduced range of motion, on my Instagram, there is a test that I put up there, and I might put it up again to make it easy for you to find.
I believe I shared it actually. I shared it in the very first post of the ankle and lower leg sequence that's highlighted on my Instagram page. So if you guys want to look for it, you'll see it right here. Yeah, it's the one where you're like kneeling like this and you're pressing forward with the pole.
No, so to test it, you can do the same movement, but if you measure about 10 centimeters from the wall and put your big toe, like 10 centimeters is the goal. Okay?
Got it.
So if you can't get to 10 centimeters, you keep creeping your toe inwards.
Towards the wall.
So at 10 centimeters from the wall, you're going to bend that knee and try and touch the wall with your knee, not lifting your heel. Okay? Then if you can't, you're going to keep coming closer and closer and find what your measurement is. Around 10 centimeters or 40 degrees is a good guideline. Yeah, here we go. So you'd be around 10 centimeters, trying to keep that knee over the middle of your foot, so don't dump it in over the big toe. Try and keep it as straight as you can over the foot. And find how many centimeters you are from the wall. Just if there's a skirting board, just be mindful that's extra centimeters. Okay. The other way, if I'm sort of out and can't test people against the wall, I'll even use my iPhone. The tilt measurement thing tells you how many degrees. Yeah. Put it on the front of the shin. Get the person to do the same movement, and then none of them are super accurate. It's a guide, bit of a screen.
Sure, but it gives you some baseline, something to say, hey, let me measure this against.
Yeah, and then we can do some work, whatever, test it again, see if things have changed. So we're aiming for about 40-ish degrees as a measurement on the shin is what I look for. And again, knee over the middle of the foot. So if there's a restriction, then you're doing the same movement as the exercise. All right?
Right.
It's just, we're doing that with the pole. So like you said before, so you can use it with or without a band. So kneeling, I always put the pole sort of towards the outside of my foot, and then knee on the outside of the pole. You don't want too much through the hip. So if your hip's tight, bring that leg forward. It's all about the ankle at the moment. If the calves are tight, then that's when you need to go on foam roll, stretch, get a massage, whatever it is that works for you, loosening up the calf. If that's stopping your ankle moving, work on that. This just helps glide and free up the ankle.
Great.
So if we're going forward and back, heel on the ground, aiming for about 30 to 40 a day is normally what I would aim for. With the band.
And so just to reiterate for everybody, using that pole there with your knee on the outside is to keep you from dumping too far inwards, correct?
Yeah.
Great.
Because I just find, when I watch clients even do it in here, when we weren't using like a guide, first couple are great, then they get lazy or they start talking to me. Before you know it, they're back into that position that they're just used to going through and have forgotten the importance of what we're trying to achieve. So I just find having something there, if you get distracted, the pole's going to keep you fairly honest.
Great.
So there's still a bit of room for error, but it reminds you to keep that knee out there. If your ankles are getting are fairly good, you can do this movement through different planes to make sure it stays freed up. But I just find my first step is trying to get that ankle to come over the toes, which then helps you do squatting, walking, running. Okay? Same movement can be done with a band. So you want this anchored onto something that's a big power band. You want it right down in the crease of the ankle. Okay? You can even, if you have your foot up on like a step, it'll even pull back into the subtalar joint even more. You want to get some good stretch on that band. Get it right down to the ankle. And then it's the same movement. You just feel now as you push forward, you're going to have the band pulling back into your ankle and helping to try and facilitate some gliding. Now, when you're doing this, and this will make more sense later on in this little session once we talk about the foot, but try and keep your foot fairly active as well. Keep the big toe down. There's no point kind of coming out with the big toe lifting and just twisting your whole foot. You want to keep that big toe anchored down the ground so you're nice and stable through the foot and then getting that range of motion through the ankle. All right?
So just in case anybody couldn't hear clearly, what our goal there is to make sure that we get that good foot contact on the ground first and then start moving through that ankle range of motion. You don't want to be pressing through, pressing forward and then having, the toes come up or something like that. So we want to make sure we have, we get that good toe, that good foot contact, and then we can start moving through the range.
Definitely. There's just no point twisting out and getting through that range of the big toe.
No point in training it wrong.
Training it wrong, but when you come to a functional movement where you need your foot to be flat, you're not going to have the range or the control. Your brain won't know that position. So you need to train with optimal alignment in everything you do. All right. Good with that one?
Sounds great. Yeah, perfect.
All right. If you don't have somewhere to anchor a band, you can even use a belt. So if you use when you can use a small band, or even just like a belt, like a waist belt, would also work.
Great.
A little bit more awkward, but you can use your own feet band, and a belt works well because you can have a good, a bit bigger and have a good stance. It's hard to get a really tight mini band, but you can use that by almost getting into a
half kneel.
Half kneel sort of position, and then you might want to use a wall nearby, but it's the same thing. It's just you're using your own foot as an anchor point.
Yeah, sure. As long as you have that posterior force there, something pulling that shin bone back is the goal.
Yeah, just a bit more awkward.
Great.
All right, so that one's a fairly common drill. We've probably seen it before, but really important. You need that ankle dorsal flexion. One little extra thing I'd add to that would be once you're getting more range, what you can do is still using your pole. So coming forward, getting that range, trying to pull up through your toes and your tib ant, and then try and keep that range more actively. Hold it for a second and release. Coming forward, hold, bring it up, and release. Okay? Just to start to train the tib ant to hold that position as well.
Right. From being in dorsiflexion, starting to train being able to get those toes up from there, right?
Yeah, and like tib ant, all the just everything up through the shin to help hold the ankle in a better position as well. Just everything's there helping out. Now, the next part of the ankle that I find people really lose is inversion and eversion. So it's the ability of the ankle to come in and out, okay, with a stable leg.
Sure.
The leg's just doing that. Now, with all the it's great. There's a lot of foot exercises online now. Everyone's focusing a lot on trying to get out of pronation. What I'm seeing happen is people are getting jammed up in supination.
Okay.
Okay, so they're starting to lose the ability. Well, some people have just lost it because of shoes and things anyway. But if you're not training to get into pronation, then that can be an issue for the ankle as well. Because if that ankle is constantly kind of jammed inwards, if you're training on the tibialis posterior and all these muscles that help to hold the ankle like inwards, like in supination, and you're not releasing it, then you're never going to be able to get into pronation properly, which absorbs shock. So that's still an important part. We need to get in and out of pronation, supination. It's a normal part of movement. Pronation, like flat foot, it's not a bad thing. It's just if you're stuck in any position, that's when we have problems.
Sure.
So if you're stuck because you've trained, getting the arch up nice and high and all this like medial side getting nice and strong, you're getting a bit stuck in this position, that's almost a sprain, right?
Right.
So if you don't have the ability to pull that back in when needed, you're risking a sprain or just, damaging and irritating the perineal muscles.
Sure.
So using a ball or a foam roller, you see me okay?
Yeah, looks good.
So ball or foam roller, I like the ball better personally. Oh.
There you go.
So to get into pronation, you can even do supination with this. I'll just use the roller so you can see better. Normally I have the ball just underneath that lateral malleolus. Where I'll be sitting the ball. I just find it gives me a bit of a better sort of pivot point. But if you've only got a roller, that's fine as well. Now, holding the shin, holding the heel, you want to gently pull that apart and then pushing down through your heel to try and mobilize and roll that ankle down over the roller or the ball. So you're starting to get that ankle to kind of pronate and come back inwards. You can also then pull up and in as you do the same movement. So in and up to try and get inversion, eversion through the ankle. Really important, because if that ankle's stuck, the muscles can't do what they need to do. That's it. And so if you gently pull apart, it just helps to distract the joint. It just frees up a bit of that gristly sort of feeling or crunching you might get through the ankle.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel it. I can definitely feel some space like opening up and and some shifting going on. Feels good.
Yeah, one of my favorites because we lose that inversion eversion.
Yeah,
I didn't realize for a long time I was constantly working on dorsiflexion and hadn't really thought about like that inversion eversion we need through the calf. I just find this helps. Then when you're training the foot and ankle, you're training the muscles to help hold you in those positions, not relying on a jammed up ankle to hold you there. All right, and if the muscles aren't doing what they're meant to do, and there's a bit of a stability issue, then mobility normally becomes the problem. The body will jam it up to try and protect us. All right, so if you're not getting that inversion eversion, then you're probably not as stable as you'd like to be. So you need to train that stability to help free things up as well.
Got it. Yeah, I
that?
think that's the whole concept of like strengthening through the entire range, right? If you don't have that whole range of motion, then kind of like even once you do your band work, if you don't have the range of motion, what's the point in just training in a tiny and short little range?
Yeah, that's right.
Just stiffen it even more, like you said, you know, you're just shortening everything.
Yeah, and that's like with any, I mean, it's hard because you've got to, there's only so much time in a session or, you know, whatever, but
Sure.
when you're like loosening things up, you then need to create stability around it. So if you're creating more space, like you just said, but you don't teach the brain what to do with that, like your brain goes like, cool, that's just dangerous.
Right. Now I have more room to get messed up.
Yeah, let's just lock that back up. All right, now I know you've done this one before, but really important as well, tibialis posterior heel raises.
Great.
You've done them with 2 feet, right?
Yes.
So I won't go into it too much, but I just wanted to mention it's really important. That tibialis posterior tendon and muscle, it's a big stabilizer of the ankle. Okay, so those heel raises with a ball between the heel, really important. I've been playing around with some single leg ones lately, just to try and really load the whole foot in a single leg position.
How do you activate tibialis posterior like that?
I'll show you. It's a bit awkward, but
it's okay, we like it.
So what I've been doing, because I just found I wasn't as stable on one leg as I was doing it with 2. So what I've been doing, I've been using a roller. So I've got my box about maybe back from the wall. I've got a good space behind the wall here. I've been putting my roller next to the box. And then standing.
Oh, I see, okay.
Right? So I've got good contact through the roller, coming up with a single leg, active foot, and then pushing in through that roller.
Great.
Right? So I've just found, yeah, for me I was just getting a little bit, I just didn't feel as stable on one leg as the 2. I've been doing a lot of the double leg tib post raises, which are great to activate it, but that just helps I find to strengthen it a bit more.
Great.
So yeah, that's what I've been playing around with, the single leg. And yeah, I've found but you need to have a stable foot, stable hips, like you need to be fairly stable through the whole chain. Otherwise you're going to compensate. You're going to be twisting as you go up.
Yeah.
You want to make sure your headlights on your hips, they stay facing the wall. Everything stays really stable. And you're just using that big toe to anchor, driving up through with the heel, and then just having that contact against the roller or a ball or whatever you want to use to help lift up.
Well, I mean, anybody who does those, I think they'll notice if you're doing them properly, getting that good last squeeze, it makes your legs burn from big toe all the way up to your hips. So if you're doing it right, it gets some great activation all the way through there.